Anyway, welcome to the session, Packaging Suite Enterprise Software Packaging. Well, good that you are here on behalf of my colleagues from Raynet. Well, nice to see. I hope that you'll enjoy this session. There will be a couple of interesting things also for you who already seen a couple of our products, maybe even the packaging suite itself, but I have also prepared a couple of extras, so I'm pretty much sure that, that you enjoy. Just so that I can understand, can you raise your hands, those who used products from Raynet already? Just so that I know, more or less. Okay, so not that many? Well, that's even better, because I think that you will like what you see. It's just an approach which is based on something different. I think we just maybe wait still a few seconds to give some time, and we can then start the session. Right. So my name is Marcin. It's hard to pronounce, so Marcin would also do. I've been working for Raynet since 6 years. And I started as a packager, then as a specialist in terms of software packaging, and now I'm leading our team of development for the packaging suite and packaging as a general product. So our company Raynet is a platinum sponsor of that event, so we have a pretty much large booth just near to the entrance. And my recommendation would be that you pay us a visit, because we have a lot of cool things to show, and not everything I have time for that during this session and during 2-hour sessions we have today, but still you won't be disappointed too. We also want to hear you what are your opinion, what is your feedback, because this is something that really drives our efforts, what we are delivering. Raynet started as a service company. We used to specialize in packaging, but also other areas of the application lifecycle management, including evaluation, quality control. Then we moved more to the development, but also to the license management, and these are our core areas these days. So that's a really short agenda for today. I'll be pretty much showing a lot, so I want to just start the tools and show how to use them, some different cool solutions, different cool features. But before that, I will start with a short introduction to what are we, well, about to see. So what's the packaging suite, what kind of benefits it brings, how to use that, and so on and so on. So this will be covered pretty much before I start the session. I'll also describe a couple of things regarding, I would say, completing question whether to use software from a single source, I mean a single vendor, or from a multiple one. I think it may be also an interesting discussion. Speaking of that, well, I'll be just talking, but if you have some questions, comments, or just want to maybe stop me to see some more, just, well, raise your hands. We'll see. If time permits, I'll try to answer the questions right away. Otherwise, maybe at the end of the session, and if the time doesn't permit, then, well, we can always meet in our booth, and there will be plenty of time to speak about things. So then I'll also speak a bit about the future. So this is what we have today, but also some looking forward to what's coming next weeks and months. And then, well, question and answers. So depending on how many things needs additional clarification, we'll see how far can we go with our time. Right. So I asked you how many of you use Packaging Suite. That's because I just wanted to know how do I focus my presentation. Since just a few people raised your hands, that's even better, because we can be pretty much on the same level, and I don't have to compromise too much. So Packaging Suite is a suite of products we develop here in Raynet. Like I said, we used to be a packaging company, so we transferred our experiences to a packaging suite software. That means it's actually a set of apps which are written and developed by packagers, but also for packagers. That means we pretty much understand what are the needs required for that. And there will be now a couple of components shown on the screen. I'll explain how it works together. And the first part would be our workflow management. So the Packaging Suite is a set of integrated apps running behind a core, so to say, module, which is a workflow management, RayFlow, our own system, which provides not only the workflow, but also works kind of like a repository. It splits the, I would say, more like abstract and high-level tasks like a packaging or quality control into something which is more tangible, measurable, that you can get reports, that the managers can be happy, but also makes the work, well, pretty much easier. But I'm going to demo that just to understand what are these names I'll be using during that presentation. So the core module would be RayFlow. Now, around RayFlow, you'll see several other components showing on the screen. So what's actually being shown, I mean, the order is something we suggest. It's our best practice, but obviously it's configurable. So we are not really forcing to do anything the way we think it's right. I mean, you know your needs, so you can adjust the process. But for the demo, it will be just convenient if I assume that there will be some certain list of steps so that I can just follow and you can get the idea what is the value added, what are the features brought by the tight integration. So in that concept, it starts with the readiness analysis, whether the app that is coming as an order can be, well, at all used on particular system, Windows 10 anniversary, or 32-bit Windows 7, or any other. So if the answer is no, then why to even bother? So it would be nice to check that before, obviously. But then there comes to evaluation. So now we know the software is working. We get our sources. We know who is the responsible guy for that. We know the requirements, more or less, but we have to transfer them to a documentation. It's all about documenting stuff. So we get our input, which will be, well, source and the right guy to tell us how to configure that. And we need to deliver it on paper. What would be the way, which license to use, which files, which features, how to install, how to test the product, and so on. So we developed a product which is responsible for that. Everything I'm just telling you will be obviously shown, so it's just that we are on the same level, that you understand how the tools are integrated together. So once the evaluation is ready, well, we come to the heart of that. So that will be packaging. For that, well, according to our naming convention, QC, quality control, eval like evaluation, and then comes pack as packaging. So our core component, which is used by packagers, but also for setup developers to actually now transfer our knowledge, which is now documented, how the package is to be configured, what is the content of that package, and how to test that. Now it will be converted into, well, something tangible, a file, MSI, and a V product, maybe some command line, how to install it without actually repackaging. So there are different options, but that's the process. And then all of these inputs and outputs are actually being optionally saved in the repository in the center. So you can obviously go for an option with some share within your company. But, well, there are some high-level concepts that it can also be stored within RayFlow. And at the end comes our checklist tool, RayQC, which can be used. I mean, the scope of the tool is really broad. It doesn't have to be actually just the quality. But the main purpose is to build a checklist of things that you would normally check manually, like, I don't know, go to a shortcut, check if it's there, check if an extension starts, check if the entries in @remove programs are correct. So you can actually think of many different things that you would check. Now, the purpose of that is to make it a bit of structure. That means that we don't forget anything, and that, well, as always, everything is on paper, everything documented, so then the document gets sent back to the RayFlow. And hopefully, after getting through all phases, what we have in RayFlow is, well, we did already have our source. Now we have a documentation, what has been done, how the software has been evaluated, how the software has been tested, and everything is in one place, in one central repository within RayFlow. So that's basically the concept. And if you ask me, what is the packaging suite? Well, here is it. So set of products which started to be individual, and now with our new releases are coming together and can work together and integrate together. There may be a question raised, isn't it too, I wouldn't say dangerous, to actually go for a single solution from one vendor? And this has actually been discussed over many discussions, many articles. I'll just give a couple of reasons why it makes sense. It's now kind of disconnected from the packaging. It's more like a general. So every single system having different endpoints, different software, different maybe client and servers is fragile if it's delivered by different guys. I mean, just if you consider things like upgrade paths or just installation, how many times you have to configure, what do you have to test. But one point I specifically like about this is the third one, that vendor takes responsibility. I mean, how many times, maybe you have already some bad experiences, you were asking the software vendor about, okay, not working feature, something not working as expected, only to get the answer, it's your configuration, it's your other software, it's your system, it's your environment or whatever. I mean, vendors, I think, like to do that because it's just so much easy. They don't have to actually take responsibility. Now, if you have everything in one place, in one solution from the same vendor, it makes it just easier because they cannot just say, no, we don't care, it's their product. So this is pretty much an argument why to actually go for that kind of stuff. There are obviously some more obvious paths like purchase costs, so because of the volume discounts, like the upgrade paths and integration that you have to actually, or you don't have to actually test anything on your own that has been already tested by the vendor. So if the product A integrates out of the box with product B, then we don't have to spend some time on the pre-flight phase, making sure that it works, POC, and so on. It generates costs and requires time and resources. So these are just a couple of reasons why to use a single solution from a single vendor to have everything in one place covered. And well, the good thing is that since we know our business, we started as a packaging company, you can pretty much be sure that your needs are there in the product because we also use it for our internal services. Speaking of that, how many of you are packagers? I mean, doing actual packages. Okay, so like 50%? QA? Eval? Product managers? Okay, so it's pretty much different people are here, which is, yeah, good. I mean, you will see different cool things for you during the presentation. And one of the things which actually is our principle, do you know that cross? Any idea what this can be? I'm not sure that you could be aware of that because this is something we invented. So it's actually invented by my colleague. And it stands for actually 4 things, which is a solution that is global, reusable, out of the box, and standard. So we think that if the software delivers all of it, so is actually to be used global, not only on a single local basis and single needs for a specific company. If it's reusable, that means you don't waste your time doing the same stuff twice or 3 times. Just once is enough. Reuse your work. That's the key in that. Out of the box means you don't have to spend days configuring anything. It just works in some minimal standard configuration, just as simple as that. And standard means well, don't reinvent the wheel. Use what's there. If there is already a format and editors, just take them so that the outputs can be then easily migrated to any other stuff. And so if the software is gross, it means it should pretty much do. I will now switch to a demo. I just have to control our time, but we are obviously super fast, so it's cool because we'll have more time to actually see it in live. What I'm going to show you is the actual state of what we have today, but at the end of the presentation, okay, it's blacked. At the end of the presentation, I will also, like I said, cover more like topics which are oriented on the future, so what's coming next in the next couple of weeks and months. And well, once more, pay us a visit in our booth. It will be really interesting both for you and for us. So, I started that theoretical introduction from RayFlow, which means I would also do that during my demo. So, how it's organized technically is that RayFlow runs on a, well, it requires IIS server. So, it's a central app and clients, endpoints are connecting. The endpoint can be just a web client, so just type the URL address, and so you get everything on the web. I can actually show it once here, if I have the Okay, I don't have here the history, so what would be the address? Okay, I'll check. I'll show that later. I'll check in my program what's the current address of my URL server. But that's absolutely obviously fine. The products are already configured on that image. But the other option is to start some small local client, which can be used to access your instance, and it works like also kind of executor. So it knows about what products are on your machine configured. It can start a product with using a specific configuration. It can run your certain actions, and it also serves one additional purpose, that it can visualize your process. And now, when you see that how it looks like, I mean, what is the organization of the work within the tool, you will understand it easier. So I'll just have to log in. There's no really good security. Username is admin and password. Well, guess what, admin? So I'm expecting that, it will complain that I didn't change it. Well, sorry for that. And I'm selecting just one additional available project in my RayFlow. So it's pretty much enterprise-oriented. You can have different projects for grouping different types of content that should be visible for a particular part of type of users. So some of this stuff may be visible for your customer A, some of them for customer B, or you may also organize it the different way, like maybe split across departments, or maybe to limit usage of some tools. I mean, it's totally up to you. For demo, I'm just using the on a single project. So this is how the tool looks like. All our tools are similar, meaning that once you learn one of them, it's pretty much easier to go into the other one. And this is something that I was also talking about, this lower cost and better learning curves, that it's just simply easier to get into the product without too much time spent on extensive training, and well, it also means money and resources which could be otherwise invested somewhere else. And that is the important part I wanted to show. So that circle I was showing in the beginning actually is there. It's just that process actually covers a bit more. It also goes into the software deployment, but we are only talking now about packaging suite, which is, well, the packaging-oriented areas, and we'll start actually with the eval part, and we'll go to the QA. So the 3 tiles shown in the middle will be of the most interest for me. Now, each tile actually represents, so to say, a category of packages. I mean, it's showing them by their status. So the package starts in its life in the order interface. And once it's go until the deployment, it will be shown, well, depending on configuration, in any or all, or, well, you can define that in which phases and what are the paths between them. But normally, it should go from the PO to the acceptance of the order, then to the evaluation, packaging, quality assurance, user acceptance test, and deployment. Again, it's fully flexible. You can customize this. You can define your own process, well, the way pretty much you like. Just for the demo, it will be easier to follow what we think would be our best practice. And if I go to one of the phases, I will already see. I know if it's big enough. So if not, let me make it bigger. So thinking should be now a bit better, or? So I have right now just 2 packages in my evaluation. So these are the packages that are awaiting being picked up by someone. They are all open, unassigned to anyone, and most likely there is always, source available at least. So maybe contact information, who's responsible for that software. It's absolutely depending on how and what's the policy, how do you define your process. But for me, important part would be that I just want to, as an evaluator, so working on my local machine, logging in using my eval account, I want to just accept the package, set up Office Tab Enterprise, so that no one can pick it up for me, and everyone will see that I'm working on the package, and I will start the evaluation document to have a look and to go to the next steps and showing how the tools are working together. So it's as simple as showing that if you go to the context menu of a tool, you have a way to accept it, to assign to someone else if you have permissions, and do some other advanced stuff which we may cover later, especially the last part with tools, because this is actually where the interaction happens. So how do you tell your packaging solution to start and edit a file and then upload it back. So this is the part that is configurable, and this is the part I'll be using. But before, as always, I have to first accept it so that the view has been updated. It's now saying active. The owner of the package displayed here says it's me. And on the right-hand side, I can see some details of the package. So including the version, name, where is the setup. I can see the history, comments, files, anything that users updated or added to the package. So in order to close the package, meaning that move it forward or maybe push it back, let's imagine that we just received a setup Office Tab Enterprise MSI, but there is something missing. I know someone forgot to upload anything. Well, in that case, we can just simply reject it. So it will then travel back to the POA phase, awaiting then to be picked up by someone else and fix the issue. So then I would just simply add a comment, and someone else would fix that. But for me, let's imagine that the package is complete. So I just had a look at them. Sources are there. Everything is known. I know who is my point of contact. Which means I can go with him to his machine so that he can show me how to install Setup Office Tab Enterprise in this example. Now for that, I will use one of our tools, which is in that phase RayEval. So like I said, the purpose would be, let's transfer our knowledge, which is in my head, into an actual documentation that everyone can use, that everyone can repeat without going too much into and asking a lot of questions that are unresolved due to incomplete docs, incomplete installation, some missing files, and so on and so on. So if I click that little tool, RayEval, it will start another product from Raynet, so another piece and chain if that in packaging suite. And this time, okay, it's open in the background. This time it will open a screen which looks like that. And as you can see, some details are already taken from RayFlow. So it knows that I'm doing that app with that version. Here is my manufacturer. That are the sources. Here is the path to take them. I can also add some additional files and remove them from here. But pretty much the idea is that I just started something from RayFlow without actually providing too much. So I didn't have to say, okay, now go here. This is the app. Here are the details. No, it's the second point, out of the box. So it's there. I don't have to actually think a lot. I don't have actually place to make too many mistakes. There are some more things you could put it in. I mean, I'm now in the basic tab, so just on the top there are tabs. But this is actually something you can configure. Again, we deliver some out-of-the-box standards. You can adjust them. You can throw them out. You can say you know it better, and you will be right. But again, to have some place to start with, and again, out of the box, we have it here. So now we are going to actually the most interesting part: how this tool let us do our job. So the expectation is we want to have, say, PDF or Word document saying, click that, enter that, serial number is this and that, and so on and so on. So I'll just maybe make that window a little bit smaller so that I can use the zoom function. And I won't cover any function in that product. I mean, RayEval is pretty simple, but the idea is just to show you the point, how it works, and not really explain any all function present there. So what I will do, I will click the button to start a setup. And what happens is, well, the setup is started. It's an actual installation. So normally I would have to do it on virtual machine, making a snapshot before. It's just for demo. I don't have to actually go that much into details. But interesting part is, if I just move this window a bit here, you will see that in the background, it actually already generated something from us, which is just as simple as double-click on Setup Office Tab Enterprise MSI. Well, at least now you know which file path is to be started. Now, depending on configuration, I think Control left mouse button in mine makes a screenshot, but it won't be just a screenshot of the whole screen, but actually it's contextually aware. So if I do it on the window, like here, in the background, you can see that it just took a screenshot of the window. There is a red border showing here is your place to have attention to. It generated some title underneath, so it's pretty much generic because that's, well, just a window. But if you do the same on the button, like here next, it actually does this. So it knows what's the title, and it says click button next. Well, pretty much straightforward, and not leaving too many places for interpretation, not leaving too many places to make mistakes. So we go next, and then there is another example, accept the agreement. Also, pretty simple choice for us, but again, using the technique by pressing it, it generates the screenshot, highlights what is actually important, and, well, it reads the content of that radio button, which will be really handy if we are about to write a serial code, because we don't have to type it manually, put it in the docs. We can also read that. And one of the steps in that installation, I can click a couple of other additional steps. So we are coming here, and now we are required to put the license name. So this time, it will be also a nice idea to show that if I type anything like AppManagEvent, it will, in the background, get this. So it's saying type AppManage 2016 into the text box. Well, again, straightforward. You don't have to actually do a lot. You can also take, obviously, region of the window, a window, and add a text without a screenshot. But the point is that once you're done with the installation, so let us just leave these 6 steps. I don't want to go too much into that. You are pretty much able to generate an actual work. So I will export it to, well, let's say to RayFlow. So again, that's the concept. My knowledge is now on paper, will be saved as PDF and, well, in the workflow solution. So if I press export, did I log into RayFlow? Yeah. So if I go back, or I just close RayEval now, I'm just happy with the results I have. And if I refresh RayFlow, you will see that in the Files tab, just over here, there is my documentation. So now everyone who sees that package can access that. Cool. So now, I will now take my role as a packager. In order to do that, I have to move the package to the next phase. So that would be changing the status to finished. So that step here. Oops. Change the status to finished. And now the package is gone from the eval, which you can see in the background. But on the other hand, if we go to the next phase, which is packaging, well, the setup of a step enterprise appeared here. So now, again, as a packager, I would do exactly the same. I would accept it. I can start a tool. But now, I won't do it exactly the same way. Instead, I will show another technique. So again, we are not really requiring to follow what would be normally a best practice, but there are always several ways. So the way for me would be, what I did before was to start RayEval from RayFlow, meaning that I was kind of pushing my job to RayEval to do something, get the result back, and so on and so on. Now I will do more like a pull technique. So I will start another tool from the Ray suite, from packaging suite set of apps, which is Raypak. Now Raypak is the packaging solution, so you can create just normal traditional MSI files, MST, or also virtual packages. You can do the repackaging, but for that demo, because we are talking about a package which already is in MSI format, we will just only create a transform for that using just as simple as tuning the wizard by just clicking and following what the evaluation team has sent us. So how to do that? Well, let us create a new project. And there are a lot of options, but among them, the most important for me right now is to create a response transform. So I don't actually want to go too much into MSI details, to tables, to features, components. Just want to make it really, really uncomplicated way and just follow what I was supposed to do. So if I press that, there is now a way for me to say that my package should be taken here from RayFlow. So either local package or the RayFlow one. And if I press it, I'll be required to select where is my package. So I know that I'm talking about packaging. And if I continue to packaging, to set up of a stub enterprise, there is that MSI file here. So I want to open that. And I will be now configuring the MSI by applying an MST transform to that. Some options that I'm skipping are to use command line, to use some additional transforms. This is not important. I just want to focus on the really, really, really core business. So here, I will press the button Start Tailoring, and now the difference between what I did in RayEval is that RayEval actually started the installation. So if I if I went through to the end of the process, that product would be actually installed. Now, tailoring is just a kind of simulation. It will be just pretending to execute the installer, but that's just only so that I can capture my changes into the MST transform without thinking how to do that, without going to Google, without asking Stack Overflow or IT Ninja how particular things can be achieved. So at this point, I would normally maybe open the PDF from my eval, but well, let's say that right now I remember them, I just did the evaluation. I can just imagine that a packager working separately from the evaluation team would normally require that this PDF is displayed side by side. So it's not, well, just as easy as going here to RayFlow and saying, okay, open this PDF file, and this will be then opened. So I will scroll down, and here are now the procedures that are to be executed to get my package. So you certainly recognize that this is actually what I clicked. The auto-generated descriptions are there. I skipped a couple of windows just to make it to the point, and 6 would be, I think, entering the license, if I recall. Yeah, so it's AppManagEvent 2016. So using that information, now as a packager, I would go back to Raypak. And, well, let's simply replicate what I clicked. So it was accept. It was, I think, complete. It was AMA 2016, install, finish. It was pretty well fast because there was no installation. It is just collecting the feedback from the user. And now in Raypak, I can also review what actually has been collected. So this is the interesting place where you can see what this setup is changing and how to avoid going asking Google, okay, how do, I don't know, agreeing for the license, or the third entry from the top is my property name. So you don't have to think what's the name of the property. It's just taken automatically. So these are the properties. There's also a folder being captured. Features have not been changed. So whatever is changed, you will see that as a small number here. So 20 properties, 1 folder, and then you can absolutely just disable that. Well, we can also have a look what actually is in the MST. So now for power users who would like to tweak or maybe add some customer branding, we have options for that. We use actually snippets which you can import. That's specifically important for the MST file. If you want to import like a registry entry with your branding or so, you can pretty much do it in a semi-automated way by importing our templates. But if you just go to the table, I just quickly wanted to show that there are a lot of green things, which means changes done by Raypak. So it's just to confirm that actually this package has been now tuned, and I can do something with that. So what would that be? Well, I would say that we can, for example, save the transform, and again, we can either save to a local file, or we can also go for a RayFlow option. So now the packager says, this is the package. I checked it. I did IC validation. I'm pretty much sure it works. And this will be now saved to RayFlow. Then the package will be pushed to the QA, and hopefully it won't be reverted, because otherwise I'll have double job. But yeah, you will not avoid that. So the package was set up of a step enterprise, and it will be uploaded. Okay, I have an option to select the name, and it will be uploaded using that name. So, well, if I go back to RayFlow, and let's have a look what's there. Did I press it, or wait, no, once more, save as, transform, packaging, setup of a step enterprise. Okay, I think I got lost connection with RayFlow. Yeah, could be. I mean, it's not really working stable today. It doesn't matter. So the package will be displayed here, and then the QA team can pick it up, and they can check according to obviously guidelines. They can create a checklist, and by the way, the checklist is the next tool which I have here. Again, I could start it from our RayFlow client, which would show me the visualization of the workflow, so I would pretty much be sure where is the package. And the tool itself is as simple as that it can display a checklist for a software. This checklist is fully configurable. We provide a plugin-based and it doesn't require any programming. You can create even conditions to simulate a particular flow. So this actually has been generated automatically from Raypak. So I actually didn't do a lot. And what Raypak did was, well, it knows what shortcuts are in the package, so it can display the shortcuts one by one. It knows what @remove programs are there. And based on that, I have my checklist. So now, as a QA guy, I would go for that and either automatically, like here with the play button, something will be done, what the checklist offer defined, or by manually saying, okay, here I checked and the application Office Tab Enterprise is visible in @remove programs. But if you select something that is expected to be true, but you select, like here, for example, I don't know if you see that, it's a little bit bold, more than the no option. Still, if I select no, well, it will be red, although it's not really red on this screen, but it's red on mine. So in any case, you just go for the checklist, and at the end, you will see your result. Either the checklist is passed or not passed, or you can also optionally say that some elements can be skipped. That means, well, something did not work, but was actually not expected it should be working. So you can also ignore them. And at the end, that kind of checklist can be, again, reported back to RayFlow, and then processed further by the next team doing the user acceptance test, and finally sent back to the deployment. We still have like 5 minutes of time, so right now I would like to go back to my presentation and focus a bit of what you can also expect soon, and also the ideas that you may want to ask us when you visit our booth. So once again, just to sum up here again the benefits, why actually what's the value added, and what packaging suite makes easier to use after the products are integrated, after the products work together. So that concept of single vendor, which I spent some time to explain what are the pros, what are the cons, but also that actually it covers everything you need from the very beginning, from the order to, well, even to the deployment. We absolutely don't have time to show the deployment today, but if you are interested, we can also come to us, and we can show what comes after that. So solutions for software deployment, also for license management, inventory are there. No time during this simple session for today. I just wanted to also stress 3 things. Any WISE users here? WISE? Still using or used to use? Well, it's really a pity that it's kind of dead, but we really took a lot of inspiration from that product. It's great in some areas. One of them, what we are really missing today, is Workbench from WISE. It was really cool, and actually no other software today provides that. So there is another session today. So just a quick screenshot showing what's another module of Raypak, allowing you to do the list of steps for the really tangible stuff like perform IC validation, do that and that. So not anymore like big packaging and what should I do? It's like structured way of self-documenting process within the Packbench. So if you have time, I think the session is at 3. Just come, and we'll be happy to show you how Packbench works and how it simplifies the standard routines. Another thing I wanted to focus your attention is that we are seeing the potential in AppV community. Any AppV users? Whoa, a lot. Well, I was kind of expecting that. I mean, it's really cool. And for that, also I would suggest that you visit us. We have nice new addition to the packaging suite, which can be used to troubleshoot, which can be used to test. And it has been created with a partnership from our partner from US-based company, Roadmap Technologies, whose owner is sitting just right here. Really clever guy, by the way. This is something you may be really interested in, but pay us a visit in our booth. We'll show you how to speed up, how to make it easier to test packages, troubleshoot them, install, working on remote machines from your environment. And last thing I wanted to stress is the package store. So, well, our T-shirt, package store. This is actually a vision. Maybe not always you need the whole suite. Maybe sometimes it's just enough to get the package and focus on your core business, on your critical activities. In that term, we have a vision, and actually we have some previous stage of showing how to get configurable, and that's actually a big C, configurable packages from the web. For example, showing a Flash player where you can configure a lot without actually even setting up your virtual machine, without setting up anything. Just order, configure what you want, and you get a deployable ready package. So this is another topic which would be covered by one of our sessions. I think it's at 2 p.m., the management session. I strongly recommend you to visit. It's really cool idea and brings a lot of new, fresh look to the all topics. Yeah, I think we are just perfect on time. There were no questions during the session. Maybe right now, any? In the comments, you like it, didn't like? Didn't like, okay. Like I said, my colleagues and I are happy to help you out. Just visit our booth, and here is the session code for today, 23. Here are our other sessions, so make sure you don't miss them. It will be also really interesting. Well, then, if there are no questions, see you later, and thank you.